Tuesday, September 11, 2001, a day that forever will be remembered as one of pain and anguish for our nation. I was the operations specialist on duty at American Airlines Southeastern Reservations Office in Cary, North Carolina. As an operations specialist, one of my responsibilities includes monitoring emergency situations and forwarding information to American System Operations Control. I am here to share and describe an emergency call that will be etched in my memory for the rest of my life. At approximately 8:20 in the morning on Tuesday, September 11th, Betty Ong, an American Airlines flight attendant, called our reservations office requesting assistance with a situation on American Airlines Flight 11. Before I describe her call, let me tell you about this brave and courageous individual. Betty Ong, affectionately known by her family and friends as B, was a flight attendant with American Airlines for 14 years. She was a very caring, warm, and loving person. Her zest for life, her passion for her job, her ability to make people laugh, and her concern for mankind is what truly made her, along with her fellow crew members, our first heroes of September 11th. In a very calm, professional, and poised demeanor, Betty Ong relayed to us detailed information of the events unfolding on Flight 11. With the assistance of her fellow crew members, she was able to provide us with vital information that would later prove crucial to the investigation. Betty's selfless acts of courage and determination may have saved the lives of many others. She provided some important information which ultimately led to the closing of our nation's airspace for the first time in its history. For approximately 23 minutes, Betty patiently told us that she thought they were being hijacked because 2 or 3 men had gained access to the cockpit and the cabin crew couldn't communicate with the pilots. She informed us that 2 flight attendants had been injured and a passenger might have been fatally stabbed. She indicated that there wasn't a doctor on board, but that they were able to administer oxygen to 1 flight attendant and that she was able to breathe. Although she wasn't able to give us a description of the attackers, she told us the seat locations of these individuals, which helped law enforcement authorities identify the terrorist attackers. The teamwork displayed by Betty and her fellow flight attendants, combined with their extensive training in safety and security, enabled them to relocate the passengers to an area of the cabin out of harm's way. Several media accounts of what occurred on Flight 11 claimed that Betty was hysterical with fear, shrieking, and gasping for air. I am here to tell this commission that those accounts are wrong. As I previously stated, Betty was calm, professional, and in control throughout the call. I honestly believe after my conversation with Betty that the 81 passengers and 9 crew members on Flight 11 had no idea of the fate that they were to encounter that day. Betty, we are here to commemorate you. Your acts of courage on September 11th will never be forgotten. On that day, not only did you have a team of fellow employees in the air, you also had a team pulling together on the ground in reservations and security. Your loving family, your American Airlines family, and your friends are extremely proud of your selfless actions. And I, for one, will forever be grateful and honored to have had the opportunity to know such a truly remarkable person. On that day, you asked, "Pray for us." As I assured you then, I will assure you today, we are, absolutely.
We will now hear the recordings from the 2 phone calls. The first phone call was placed from Betty Ong aboard the Flight 11 to Ms. Gonzalez. We will hear the entire 4.5 minutes that was recorded on that call. The second phone call was placed by Nydia Gonzalez to the American Airlines Operations Center to report the call from Mrs. Ong and to relay the center information Mrs. Ong was providing. You may hear a momentary blank on the tape. The Commission edited a very small portion in order to protect 1 family member from unnecessary pain. The second phone call we will hear was approximately 20 minutes in duration. Due to time constraints, the Commission has selected 4 minutes from that particular call.
number 3 in the back. The cockpit's not answering. Somebody's stabbed in business class. And I think there's mates that we can't breathe. I don't know. I think we're getting hijacked.
Which flight are you on?
Flight 12.
And what seat are you in? Ma'am, are you there?
Yes.
What seat are you in?
Ma'am, what seat are you in? We just left Boston. We're up in the air.
I know.
We're supposed to go to L.A., and the cockpit's not answering their phone.
Okay, but what seat are you sitting in? What's the number of your seat?
Okay, I'm in my jump seat right now.
Okay.
At 3R.
Okay, you're the flight attendant? I'm sorry, did you say you're the flight attendant?
Hello?
Yes, hello?
What is your
Hi.
name?
You're going to have to speak up. I can't hear you.
Sure. What is your name?
Okay, my name is Betty Ong. I'm number 3 on flight 11.
Okay.
And the cockpit is not answering their phone. And there's somebody stabbed in business class, and we can't breathe in business class. Somebody's got mace or something.
Can you describe the person that you said someone is what in business class?
I'm sitting in the back. Somebody's coming back from business. If you can hold on for 1 second, they're coming back.
They want to know who thinks stabbed who, you know? I don't know, but Karen and we got stabbed.
Okay. Our number 1 got stabbed. Our purser is stabbed. Nobody knows who stabbed who, and we can't even get up to business class right now because nobody can breathe. Our number 1 is stabbed right now.
Okay.
And our number 5, our first class passengers, our first class galley flight attendant and our purser has been stabbed. And we can't get to the cockpit. The door won't open. Hello?
Yeah, I'm taking down all the information. We're also, of course, recording this. At this point,
This is operations. What flight number are we talking about?
Flight 12.
Flight 12. Okay, we're on flight 11 right now. This is flight 11.
It's flight 11. I'm sorry, Nydia.
Boston to Los Angeles.
Yes.
Our number 1 has been stabbed, and our 5 has been stabbed. Can anybody get up to the cockpit? Can anybody get up to the cockpit? Okay, we can't even get into the cockpit. We don't know who's up there.
Well, if they were shrewd, they would keep the door closed, and
I'm sorry?
would they not maintain a sterile cockpit?
I think the guys are up there. They might have jammed their way up there or something. Nobody can call the cockpit. We can't even get inside. Is anybody still there?
Yes, we're still here.
Okay. I'm staying on the line as well.
Okay.
Hi, who is calling reservations? Is this one of the flight attendants, or who are you, hon?
She gave her name as Betty Ong.
Betty?
Yeah, I'm number 3. I'm number 3 on this flight.
You're the number 3 on the flight?
Yes.
And this is flight 11? From where to
flight
where?
11.
Have you guys called anyone else?
No. Somebody's calling medical, and we can't get a stop.
American Airlines emergency line, please state your emergency.
Hey, this is Nydia, American Airlines calling. I am monitoring a call in which Flight 11, the flight attendant is advising our reps that the pilot, everyone's been stabbed.
Flight 11?
Yeah. They can't get into the cockpit is what I'm hearing.
Okay, who's this I'm talking to?
Excuse me, this is Nydia, American Airlines at the Raleigh Reservation Center. I'm the operations specialist on duty.
And I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Nydia.
Nydia. And what's your last name?
Gonzalez, Gonzalez.
Raleigh reservations. Okay, now let
That's
me...
a flight attendant on the line with one of our agents.
Okay. And she's calling how?
Through reservation. I can go in on the line and ask the flight attendant questions.
Okay. I'm assuming they've declared an emergency. Let me get ATC on here. Stand by.
Gotten any contact with anybody? Okay, I'm still on with security, okay, Betty? You're doing a great job. Just stay calm, okay? We are, absolutely.
Okay, we're contacting the flight crew now. We're also contacting ATC.
Okay. It seems like the passengers in this coach might not be aware of what's going on right now.
These two passengers were from first class.
Okay, hold on. Hey, Betty, do you know any information as far as the gentlemen that are in the cockpit with the pilots? Were they from first class? They were sitting in 2A and B.
Okay.
They are in the cockpit with the pilots.
Who's helping them? Is there a doctor on board?
Is there a doctor on board, Betty, that's assisting you guys? You don't have any doctors on board, okay. So you've gotten all the first class passengers out of first class?
Have they taken everyone out of first class?
Yeah, she's just saying that they have. They're in coach. What's going on, honey? Okay, the aircraft is erratic again. It's bobbing very erratically. She did say that all the first class passengers have been moved back to coach. So first class, the cabin is empty. What's going on your end, Peg?
We contacted air traffic control. They are going to handle this as a confirmed hijacking. So they're moving all the traffic out of this aircraft's way.
Okay.
He turned his transponder off, so we don't have a definitive altitude for him. We're just going by, they seem to think that they have him on a primary radar. They seem to think that he is descending.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Nydia?
Yes, dear, I'm here.
Okay. I have the dispatcher currently taking the current fuel on board.
Uh-huh.
And we're going to run some profiles.
Okay.
To see exactly what his endurance is.
Okay.
Did you...
She doesn't have an idea who the other passenger might be in first. Apparently they might have spread something, so they're having a hard time breathing or getting in that area. What's going on, Betty? Betty, talk to me. Betty, are you there? Betty? Do you think you lost her? Okay, so we'll stay open. I think we might have lost her.
Okay.
This, we talk about all you want, this brings it to life. Any of the commissioners have any questions they would like to ask? If not, Ms. Gonzalez, thank you so very, very much for bringing yourself and this to us today. Thank you for your calmness, your heroism, and thank members of the Ong family for their courage in coming here today and for listening to this. Thank you all very much. We have nothing but admiration for your sister. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nydia Gonzalez is addressing the commission. She's an American Airlines supervisor with expertise on security matters. At 8:21 a.m., according to the 9/11 Commission, Gonzalez calls Greg Marquis, a manager at the American Airlines System Operations Control in Fort Worth, Texas. Gonzalez holds the phone to Ong to one ear and the phone to Marquis to the other, and that's what you heard in the video that you just saw. I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown about what took place and what led to the call, because some people don't believe that there were hijackers on the plane. There most certainly were. And the real conspiracy is not that there weren't any hijackers on the planes, but who were the hijackers themselves. And in another video, I'm going to explain in further detail about who these people were and who they weren't. But for now, I'm just going to give you the basics. Mohammed Atta Abdulaziz Al-Amari had checked in at U.S. Airways at 5:43 a.m. The agent who checked in both men, Richard Chuohe, gave Atta a boarding pass just for his U.S. Airways flight, but not for his boarding pass for Flight 11. Mohammed Atta and Abdulaziz Al-Amari both had first-class tickets. Atta had 2 bags, Al-Amari had none. They were screened by the Computer-Assisted Passenger Pre-Screening System, or in short called CAPS. Videotape shows Atta and Al-Amari entering the walk-through metal detector at 5:45 a.m. Atta and Al-Amari boarded United Airways Flight 5930 at 5:51 a.m. Seating was rather open on the plane, rather than assigned. 8 passengers boarded this flight. It wasn't very big. Atta and Al-Amari were the last to board this flight and sat in the last row of the plane, and that was row 9. The flight took off at 6 a.m. and landed at Logan at 6:45 a.m., 1 hour before the scheduled depart time of Flight American's Flight 11. The 9/11 Commission does not have a concrete account as to why they drove to Portland, but it surmised that it was to avoid suspicion since 8 young Arab males would board planes here at Logan Airport. But I would happen to think that there was another reason, which I will address in another video. Telephone records showed that a phone call was placed on a payphone at the gate area from where Flight 175 departed to Atta's cell phone at 6:52 a.m. At 6:45 a.m., Atta and Al-Amari arrived at Logan Airport, Terminal B, Gate 9BA. Atta and Al-Amari still had their carry-on bags. Atta's 2 checked bags were unloaded from the Colgan Air flight, but were not transferred to American Airlines Flight 11 at this time. At 6:45 a.m., Wael El-Sheri and Walid El-Sheri and Satam Al-Saskami arrived at Logan and parked their rental car at the airport's parking facility. All 3 were selected by CAPS. Walid did not check in a bag, but the other 2 did check 1 bag each. All bags passed screening. The airport security checkpoints did not have video monitoring, so there's no conclusive evidence in regards to when and how the hijackers passed through security checkpoint screening. To reach their departure gate after checking in all 5 hijackers, they would have been required to pass through one of 2 checkpoints. These checkpoints were operated by Globe Aviation Services, which was under contract by American Airlines. Later in the day of 9/11, weapons were found planted on board all 3 U.S. airplanes. A U.S. official would say they look like inside jobs. Time magazine will actually report that sources tell the magazine that U.S. officials were investigating whether the hijacks had accomplices deep inside the airport security areas. Argenbright, the company in charge of security at all the airports used by the hijackers, have virtually no security check on any of its employees and even hired criminals and illegal immigrants. At approximately 7:31 a.m., Walid El-Sheri and Walid El-Sheri boarded. Atta and Al-Amari followed at approximately 7:39 a.m. as Satam Al-Sakami boarded a minute later. The flight carried 81 passengers. 9 seats in first class were full. 2 hijackers seated there were Walid El-Sheri at 2B, Wael El-Sheri at 2A. These were the muscle hijackers. They were the biggest out of all 5. 19 of the 30 seats in business class were occupied, 3 by the hijackers, Mohammed Atta at 8D, Abdulaziz Al-Amari 8G, and Satam Al-Sakami at 10B. There were 119 coach seats, which were occupied by none of the hijackers. The load factor, which means the percentages of seats occupied on an aircraft, was unusually above the norm for a Tuesday, which is usually 39%. This flight had 51% fill-up rate. Also, all the flight attendants had keys to the cockpit, as mandated since the 1960s. FAA rules required all cockpit doors to be locked. However, this rule was not always observed by flight crews or enforced by the FAA. Nydia Gonzalez, manager of the Southeast Reservation Centers, reported that all aspects of pre-flight preparations were routine and reported that no problems were encountered during takeoff. FAA Air Traffic Controller Pete Zalewski was stationed at Boston Air Traffic Control Center and had radioed instructions to Flight 11's Captain John Oganowski. At 8:13 a.m. would be the final response from Flight 11 cockpit crews to Boston ATC, and at approximately 8:14 a.m. would be the hijacking. Now, there are people within the conspiracy fold, some that have infiltrated the Truth Movement, who have given the consensus that Betty Ong didn't exist. I don't know why they would pick her out. It was because she made a phone call from a seatback phone to American Airlines Operations Center. However, Betty Ong was an actual person. Betty Ong's siblings was seen in the front right-hand side of the video that you just saw. Her older brother, Harry Ong Jr., and Kathy Ong, which was her older sisters. And Kathy Ong runs the organization called the Betty Ong Foundation, which is a nonprofit public charity organization catering to the welfare of children. Betty Ong's family, Harry Ong Sr. and her mother, Yi Gum Ong, were married for 57 years, and Harry Ong passed away in 2007. One of her friends, Peg Oganowski, who was the husband of the Flight 11 captain, died in the crash, was a close friend with Betty Ong for 14 years. There's a multitude of evidence that she actually existed. And like I said, the phone call came from a seatback phone. So the evidence for her existence is overwhelming. And I'm going to get into the background of the hijackers in a later video and describe that the real conspiracy lies with specifically Muhammad Atta, and why I think that there's much more to this individual than what was purported by the 9/11 Commission. But in regards to this video, it was the first time that an audio recording was played before the Commission and before the public at large.